Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome all of you back to another Chris Chan article where today, ladies and gentlemen, or tonight I should say, we are going to be doing another Chris article on his Quictionary, which concerns his quote-unquote scale of respect. And here's one from Chris. I'll consider knocking you and Susan up my scale of respect, each by 2 points. 0 equals no respect, and 10 equals respect. This was Chris trying to bargain with Mary Lee Walsh and someone else called Susan to stay at Piedmont Virginia Community College. Your guess is as good as mine as to actually how well this all turned out. The scale of respect is a fine example of Chris using video game terminology to describe his feelings towards other people, due to his lack of social interaction. It was mentioned in a 2004 email to Mary Lee Walsh. Autistics tend to view the world in absolute values. I'd say I think that's not 100% true, but I'd say that's a good estimate, I think. Since they have trouble expressing subtle differences with such intangible concepts as respect. Chris might be putting the differences of respect between, say, a school teacher to a paedophile, in literal physical terms that he's familiar with to better understand the concept. While even small children don't resort to such retardation, instead learning about it through give and take, it boggles the mind that even in his 30s, he still clings to the system of treating respect as if it was steps on a ladder. Your guess is as good as mine as to how well Chris would have stacked up. Because that's actually quite a good point, is that why has nobody ever gone towards Chris and asked him, what do you think your scale of respect is? But then again, since this whole scale thing was never really mentioned again after this incident, it's probably safe to say that just nothing really came of it. While sociologists have done surveys, made graphs, and written papers to find out which professions the average American feels the most respect for, the top 3 being doctor, soldier, and teacher, in that order, would like to actually kind of know how long ago that was written. It's difficult to say which person you have more respect for when things like authority are taken into account, because one respects authority, or at least pretends to, out of survival. According to Chris's scale of respect, things like authority aren't even considered, meaning that he can't differentiate between the concepts of respect and authority, or understand that the two often blend together. This is likely the reason for his troubles with Mary Lee Walsh, whom at the time of her run-in with Chris was the Dean of Student Affairs, giving her authority over student activities, including the ability to forbid pathetic man-children from employing retarded methods of attracting attention from the opposite sex. Chris also believes that his respect is valid to use as a bargaining chip during negotiation. After the email to Mary Lee Walsh, this is never brought up again, nor was it ever brought up beforehand. Yeah, kind of strange how Chris would even think about doing that at all, because the only thing he thought of doing was just to it's interesting, because if you go onto like Chris's page on negotiation, what you're going to find is that Chris will try and sweeten the deal by trying to make one person feel good inside, for example, knocking them up on a scale of respect. Now, ignoring the fact that knocking up is, let's put it, maybe the wrong type of language to use, what this does actually kind of begin to show, and it's a little bit creepy in some sense, is that Chris seems to think that this is an accurate representation of trying to, reach a negotiation. I mean, this all started because Chris was getting into trouble multiple times for trying to pitch his attraction sign and show that it was not a solicitation of sex, which would have been banned on campus and also would have been illegal to promote prostitution in the state of Virginia anyway. But it's the fact that somehow this scale is going to mean anything to the outside world. Why would anybody be overly that concerned? Especially because, well, one, this was Mary Lee Walsh's job to make sure this sort of shit doesn't get out of hand. And because Chris was doing this on multiple occasions, that means that just His behavior was becoming noticeable, repetitive, and people were just not going to put up with it. Mary Lee Walsh didn't put up for it for very long, so that's exactly why we got to where we are. So I think it's just fair to say that Chris, I think he must have like rehearsed or maybe tried this at least once, and then when he found out he would get absolutely nowhere, he gave up this idea because, well, he didn't mention it anywhere else, so I'm going to assume that this really must have been the first and last time it was ever brought up. But again, I think it's safe to say that this didn't work, it was never going to work, and it was never going to work under any circumstance whatsoever. So, and besides, this is what got, aside from other things, that got Chris kicked out for a whole year. So, that's, you could, it's hard to do an encore, something like that, but when you think Chris cannot sink any lower, he somehow finds a way. So, for what it's worth, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video of Chris's scale of respect, and I will hope to see all of you guys again in the next video. Take care, bye-bye for now. And I'll knock you guys up my scale of respect by exactly 1.